Good evening. Are we good? Good evening, everybody. Our clock is still slow up there. It is 5:31. Welcome. It's a great day in Moraga. We are holding a regular meeting. I adjourned that meeting. It's Wednesday, June 11th, 2025. It's 5:31 p.m. I call this first, before I call the meeting to order, I report out that the town council just came from a closed session meeting that started at 4:30 and adjourned 10 minutes ago. And there's nothing to report out of that meeting. So I now call to order this meeting and let the record show that all town council members are present. And that brings us to the Pledge of Allegiance. Ezra, if you would lead us, please.
Do I hold it down?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Okay. Next item is presentations. And tonight, we are honoring Pride Month with a proclamation. And unless there's anything from staff, we'll go forward with that. Does everyone have a copy? Good. So what we'll do is read the proclamation, and then we'll ask for comments from the town council, and then comments from the public, and then we'll gather together for a photograph. And we have the proclamation somewhere? Do we have the proclamation? Okay. I will sign it. Very good. So, Lisa, if you would start, and then we'll go this way.
Sure.
Okay.
A proclamation recognizing June 2025. A proclamation recognizing June 2025 as Pride Month. Whereas June is a time to celebrate and recognize our dynamic and diverse Moraga community and to promote a healthy, safe, and supportive environment for all, and
whereas the town of Moraga has a diverse lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and questioning community and is committed to supporting visibly, dignity, and respect for all people in this community and providing our LGBTQ plus youth with a safe environment in which to grow and thrive, and
whereas many of the current and past residents, students, town employees, and business owners and their employees within the town of Moraga have contributed to the enrichment of our town and are part of the LGBTQ plus community and their supporters, and
whereas now more than ever, it is important for communities like the town of Moraga to show both support for our residents and stand in opposition to intolerant treatment, and
whereas states, municipalities, businesses, educational, and religious institutions across the United States recognize and celebrate June as LGBTQ plus Pride Month, and
whereas June has become a symbolic month during which LGBTQ plus people, their employers, church communities, family, friends, and supporters come together in various celebrations of pride and unity.
now therefore be it resolved that I, Steve Wallachy, Mayor of the town of Moraga, along with my fellow council members, do hereby declare the month of June 2025 as Pride Month. And I'm going to switch the order a little bit. Are there any public comments? Come on up. Please, welcome.
Hi, my name is Kari. I'm 20 years old. I'm a Lafayette resident, and I'm in support of Moraga's recognition of... Oh. Was it on?
It,
Is it green? Oh, yeah. Thank you.
I'm 20 years old. I'm a Lafayette resident. And I'm in support of Moraga's recognition of Pride Month. Although I'm not a Moraga resident, I live right on the border. Moraga's always been an extension of my community. I've gone to Lord's after Little League practice. I've had dinners at Feeney's. It's always felt like an extension of my home. And you hear a diverse amount of views at these city council meetings, but what I'm sure you don't hear a lot of is people like me, youth, young adults in general. Campus students who might get called slurs in the halls, children who are afraid to tell their parents who they are. And small acts of recognition like this from the town of Moraga can help give those children and our youth that courage to tell their parents who they are and think twice about hatred towards their peers. And that's why I'm in support of Moraga's recognition. Thank you for dedicating some of your time to listen to and consider what I have to say.
Thank you so much. Others? Any other public comments? Casey?
I want to thank and acknowledge and recognize the town council for their lovely proclamation. I think it hit just about everything I could imagine that you would be able to say with courage about giving people dignity and giving people hope. So thank you, and really appreciate this council thinking about it very deeply and coming up with something so meaningful that provides hope for so many of our young people who are faced with messages of hate and intolerance right now. Just thank you again for being leaders in our community.
Thank you, and that was Casey Rain. Any other public comments? Then comments from the council? Brian?
I'm just happy to support the resolution.
Thank you.
I know that we had talked about potentially having flags here on the dais. Is that something that
Oh.
I know? Got it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for catching that.
Okay.
We'll,
So for those in the audience, just imagine that there was a flag in front of each council member. It's not intentional.
okay. Graham?
You go ahead.
Kari, I'd just like to thank you for speaking this evening on behalf of yourself, your family and friends, and our community. Thank you for your words this evening.
Karen, I echo that statement. You moved me very much. And while it may seem trivial, I'm not the most colorful person, but if you will notice what I wore tonight in support, here I am.
Carrie, any additional comments?
Well, Kari, I like your name. It's very close to my own. So thank you for coming before us tonight and sharing your perspective. I think it's a very important one for all of us to remember.
Again, I thank everyone who has participated tonight and what you represent and the willingness to come forward and be in public. You know, when I grew up, and that was a long time ago, it was very much not acceptable to be public. And we've come a long ways. There are still opportunities. Our local environment here in Moraga, I find it to be pretty tolerant. Probably there are opportunities still. So I'm very happy that we can put forth the proclamation. The flags are not as demonstrative as some of our sister cities, but we may try to work on that. So any other comments? These are new flags. This is not the rainbow flag anymore. You can stick it in your pocket. No, she's for general comments. Yes, let's get a picture. Let's all get together up front.
I appreciate the flags came out.
Okay. All right. It took a few.
Okay, that takes us to the public communication. This is time reserved for those in the audience who wish to address the town council on items that are not on this agenda. You will have up to 3 minutes to make your comments. The council cannot discuss details or vote on items not on the agenda. If necessary, questions may be referred to the town manager for a brief comment or for further review. We have a speaker card. Linda May, would you like to come up and state your name and provide us your input, please?
Okay, is the speaker on? No. Push a button? I was told not to touch this. Okay, can you hear me all right? I have a mushy voice. Okay, my name is Linda May, and I've been a resident of Moraga for over 30 years. And I love living here, have loved it, but I have one peeve that has been pretty consistent for these 3 decades, and I'm quite sure that you all have experienced it too. I have a peeve, but I also have a possible solution that will not cost the town any money. So here we go. My big peeve is going down the hill, Moraga Road, into Lafayette. Get halfway down and it comes to a complete stop. And I never know for sure how long it's going to take me to get down. And when I'm trying to get to an appointment, and you cannot turn around and go back up and get to an alternate route because it's dangerous. I've been really putting up with this, but now that I'm getting old, I'm getting grumpy. So I have a solution. Why, when they are doing work on the hill, do they put the flags up or the notice up that there's work ahead halfway down the hill? It's too late. We can't turn around then. Why can't those signs be right at the top, up by where the church is, and just say, road work ahead? Just so you have a heads up, because if you have an appointment, you'll think, oh, I'm not going to risk it because I don't know how long that's going to be. I mean, I have missed doctor's appointments where I had to reschedule, and I couldn't get in for a month because I had missed it. I was more than 10 minutes late. I don't think it would cost any money to move those. I know it would take some cooperation with Lafayette, but, we can all get along, I think. So anyway, that's my suggestion. I don't know if there's any reason why that couldn't happen, but I sure would be pleased if it did happen. So thank you for your attention on that.
Linda, thank you very much, and I feel your pain. I suspect we all do. Town manager, is that something you could raise with your compatriot in Lafayette?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I have a suggestion. Our Public Works Director, Sean Knapp, is in the back of the room there, and I think he'd be willing to exchange contact information with Ms. May, and then he could follow up and find out if it's even a possibility, but definitely let you know. I think it's a great question.
Yeah.
And we'll take a look.
It seems so logical to me.
Well, oftentimes in local government, what seems logical
Logic
versus
doesn't
what
always
can be
work.
done are 2 different things, but it does make sense if work is going on downstream, if you will, if there's some sort of ability to have an additional sign at that point. But Sean, if you don't mind providing her your card or number, and then he'll find out and let you know. We'll also let the council know what the outcome is, but if that's okay, Mr. Mayor, I would suggest that approach.
Okay, thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Okay. Item 5, adoption of the meeting agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the meeting agenda?
Move to adopt the meeting agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion to move, and it's been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Everyone, it was unanimous. Thank you. So that moves us on to the consent agenda. And okay. Does a member of the council wish to pull an item from consent?
Mr. Mayor, I think we're pulling item 6.6. Yep.
So we're going to pull 6.6. Anything else? I'd like to pull 6.4 also, please. Okay. So 6.4, give me just a second here.
Do we want to make a motion to pull to
Yes.
the others?
Thank you.
I can make that motion.
Okay. First of all, so we're talking about 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, and 6.5. Are there any public comments on those items on the consent agenda? If not, is there a motion to approve 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, and 6.5?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Moved unanimously. Let's move on to 6.4. And this is the hazards, this is the adopting the updated 2024 Contra Costa County Local Hazard Mitigation Plan, Volume 2, Town of Moraga Annex. So I have a number of questions. One of them is cost. This, I look at the report and it's fairly extensive and it's dictated to us that we have to do it. Any indication of how much we're spending on this in terms of staff time and otherwise?
Not off the top of our heads.
Okay.
I guess, are you speaking about in preparation of this, or just like the mitigation measures?
Well,
or
both,
okay.
I guess. Again, it looks like it's pretty intrusive.
I mean, we did have to use, obviously, staff time to kind of go through this process. We were in partnership with Contra Costa County, who funded most of the plan of, the consultants doing all the work on that end. And we would meet periodically, I believe, with the different, the staff, the consulting staff and other agencies to kind of go over the plan and formulate it and come up with mitigation measures and all the stuff that went into the plan. I don't know if we have exact hours on that, but there was some staff time that went into it.
And maybe I missed it. Is it get updated yearly or how frequently?
Every 5 years?
Every 5 years.
Okay, that's why I don't remember it from last year. My other, I guess, is more of a comment, and maybe you can address this, is that the fire hazard severity zones map on page 64, it's a really outdated version of that map. Are we constrained to use that particular one?
Yeah, because the way this process all worked out is this all gets approved by FEMA. And so initially the county submitted everything to FEMA, and this was like, I think in January is when FEMA approved our document. Then after that, the maps changed, and we were advised that if we wanted to change the map in here, we'd have to then take on this process ourselves and redo it. So the county advised that they would just say this would just have to be captured in the next update. And that's kind of how we got where
It's
we are.
probably no issue, but every so often I get someone telling me there are no hazards in Moraga, and that's what this map shows. So I thank you for that explanation. That's the extent of my questions and comments. With that, let's move on to item 6.6, and then we'll come back and move both at once.
Good evening, council members and mayor. 2 weeks ago, we brought an ordinance to the council for first reading, and this was to be the second reading of that ordinance and its adoption. Subsequent to the first hearing, as you may recall, it's quite a large ordinance, 35 pages of fairly dense content, and there was an issue with the parking standards for the R20 zone and another minor issue related to the language on carryover sites, and we met with the property owner, the sole property owner in the R20-24 district. And as the council may know from the housing element, we are also in the process of revising the R20 zone and the development standards. That's one of the implementation programs. And in the interest of handling all of the R20 revisions at once together, what we're asking you to do this evening is make a slight adjustment to the ordinance we brought you 2 weeks ago. And it involves restoring the parking standards that we proposed to delete from the R20-24 zone so that we can revise them comprehensively with the other R20 district regulations. The other aspect is that there was language for the carryover sites regarding compliance with the Subdivision Map Act that we have added. The way this worked before, it was unclear why we were saying a project would not be eligible for by right approval if it was a subdivision. And the issue is that that's subject to the Subdivision Map Act, which is a separate piece of legislation. So we've clarified that in the ordinance. So those are the two changes. We feel they're relatively minor, but we are asking you to have another first reading this evening of the ordinance. I won't do a PowerPoint or make any sort of presentation, just with that context. Be grateful for that, because it was a dense presentation. That is what we're asking this evening. If there are any questions about the proposed changes, I'm happy to answer them. I also have Brian and Sonia here.
So when I read the red line of this, it's basically saying it's simply subject to the laws in effect. Is that right?
Yes, the parking for R20-24 would just be the same standards that currently apply. They may be revised in the next 6 months through a comprehensive process to change the R20 standards, which will go to the Planning Commission and back to the council. And then the other change is just the Subdivision Map Act reference.
Right. Any questions by town councilman? Any comments? Any public comment? I see none. Then I'm going to move that the council waive the first reading and adopt an ordinance amending Title 8 of the Moraga Municipal Code. The ordinance implements various provisions of 2023 through 2031 Moraga housing element and is attached to this report and is represented by the modification presented tonight by staff.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Need a roll call vote.
Oh, thank you. Roll call vote.
Aye.
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 Yep.
Aye.
And aye. It's unanimous. Sorry.
We still need to move 6.4.
6.4.
Oh, thank you. And I pulled it off the agenda, so I will move this one. This also, that I move for approval of item 6.4, which is adopting the updated 2024 Contra Costa County Local Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. We good? Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. That moves us on to announcements and reports on activities.
Barry, thank you.
Let's see. Great. Graham, would you like to start?
I'll make it quick. Don't have any reports this evening.
I have a brief report on last Wednesday. I attended the Chamber of Commerce meeting, and there are a couple of items, one of which I brought up last time I attended. Moraga and Orinda were courting with the idea of merging, and that merger did not happen, so that is off the table. They did announce they will be providing beer, wine, and cider at Hacienda Nights this year. And then, as requested, I reported in general on current development activities here in Moraga to keep them up to date, and that's it.
Thank you. Brian?
I'm not sure if this is the right time to say it, but the issue that we discussed earlier, I will be resigning from the board of Recycle Smart due to my conflict of interest in owning some stock in the current franchisee who's also up for consideration for the next contract. We thought we had something worked out, but ultimately the best decision was to just not participate. And so one of you lucky few will get to take my place. And that'll be determined, I don't know how Scott wants to handle that, or the mayor.
Mr. Mayor, we can put it on the next council agenda, because it's time sensitive.
When is the RFP to be to?
Their decision is coming up. There's already been interviews. Lisa, do you know what day they're deciding?
I'm sorry, I don't have the specific date in July, but around the second week in July, there'll be a decision made.
Brian, I'm sorry to hear that, and appreciate your efforts to date on that, on the Recycle Smart, critically important for the town and the whole area to minimize our impact on our environment. Carrie?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I am open to temporarily filling that, since I did serve on Recycle Smart in the past. Just throwing that out there, but I would not want that to be a permanent appointment. It would just take another person a long time to get up to speed, and I'm current as of December.
Do you have any announcements?
I do.
Thank you for that offer.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Take it under consideration.
Thank you. I'll be making a brief verbal statement and then provide brief verbal reports on the activities I have undertaken in my official capacity as Vice Mayor, as well as each activity I have undertaken in that time that are of significant interest to the Moraga community as a whole. I want to make a clear statement that I stand with Governor Newsom and local law enforcement in their efforts to de-escalate tensions caused by President Trump's large-scale workplace raids around Los Angeles. I unequivocally support those demonstrating in Los Angeles peacefully and elsewhere in exercising their First Amendment right to protest against this overreach of federal authority. Those who are inciting violence, be it from thousands of miles away or much closer to our communities, and are engaging in criminal behavior, must be held in account. I voice my strong support for the rule of law, our local police, our governor, our state, our republic, and our Constitution. This should not be a controversial viewpoint. Now I'll go to my updates. On May 30th, I had a conference call with a municipal branding specialist who had previously implemented a successful branding effort for the city of Hayward on how such an effort could assist the town of Moraga. Also later that day, I participated in a meeting with our mayor on the Town Manager Review Ad Hoc Committee. On 6/2, I participated in the following committees: SWAT, LFFA, and LPMC, where, among other things, we approved the use of LFFA funds for Moraga's contribution to the La Miranda Spirit Van. On 6/7, I attended a fundraiser for Congressman Mark DeSaulnier at the home of Pleasant Hill Mayor Sue Nowak, which was also co-hosted by former Orinda Mayor Amy Worth. Thank you.
Thank you, and that's very good news that we got funding for the Spirit Van. That's very, very nice. For myself, I have two items to report on or to announce. One of them is last Thursday I attended the June Contra Costa County Mayor's meeting that was held in San Ramon. Always humbling to go to San Ramon, a city that is relatively, in the last 20 plus years, had a tremendous inflow of development money, and their facilities there are just outstanding. Getting past that jealousy, the presentation was by Kristen Connolly, who is our county clerk and recorder. Very, very impressive. Just great background information, including on IDs. IDs for residents, that's a big issue right now. And I have personal experience with people in certain areas of our county. They may grow up without any IDs whatsoever, and so they've got to go to the recorder and somehow prove their existence. That's a challenge. Anyway, the other thing I would like to announce is that this Thursday is the first Moraga Park Foundation concert of the year. It's, they have them every Thursday night, excluding 4th of July week, into August. They are, signature events for Moraga. I encourage all to attend. You should have received an announcement, a schedule of all the concerts in and about town. And you should also have received an envelope with the opportunity to help support the concerts. And that's all that I have to report. So that takes us now. Oh, Scott, anything you want to update us at this point?
I have a couple of very interesting, exciting items that are coming towards the end of the meeting.
Okay.
The town manager has some exciting, intriguing items that he will wait till the end of the meeting to share.
You do that just so I don't look so bad.
The best
Public-
things are worth waiting for.
No, I mean about the microphone. Anyway, public hearing, updating the town of Moraga's master fee schedule for fiscal year 2025-26 and fiscal year 2026-27. Is there a report by staff, please?
Katie Bruner, our Administrative Services Director, will deliver that. Don't be nervous or anything. You'll get to it.
Right. Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm Katie Bruner, Administrative Services Director, and tonight I will be providing an update to the town's master fee schedule for fiscal years 2025 through 26 and 2026 to 27. So tonight we are recommending that your council hold a public hearing and adopt a resolution updating the master fee schedule for the next 2 fiscal years. So some background, the government code authorizes the town to charge fees to offset the cost of processing permits, licenses, entitlements, and also allows jurisdictions to establish recreation user fees and administrative citations. The town's municipal code sets various development impact fees, which are adjusted annually for inflation. And then the master fee schedule is updated within the budget, each budget year in the budget development cycle. So it was last updated on June 26, 2024. And this year we are proposing updates to the master fee schedule for the next 2 fiscal years to correlate with our biennial budget process. So proposed fee changes include increased hourly rates for staff services. Our public works and engineering fees are revised based on updated staff rates and associated minimum charges. We have new fees for urban housing development and urban lot splits per Senate Bills 684 and 1123. And then we are also recommending the addition of a technology fee for planning and public works staff time and permitting projects to collect funds for technology and software improvements related to those activities. For Parks and Recreation, we are recommending the removal of the refundable damage deposit for park rentals. We are then also updating our park and room rental fees as well as our brick fees to update the increasing cost of staff time and then the actual materials and maintenance related to the bricks. And then we are revising the rentals for park rentals for groups greater than 100 people, and we will be evaluating those fees based on a case-by-case basis. So a quick overview of the development impact fees, which are set to increase per the resolution that was adopted. So the town established in 2016 fees for general government, public safety, storm drainage, transportation, parks, and our in lieu parkland dedication fee. They are modified annually based on changes in the engineering new record construction cost increase for the San Francisco region. Based on the change from April 2024 to April 2025, these fees will actually decrease by 1.5%. And then our La Miranda Fee and Financing Authority, this is our traffic impact fee. It was established in 2016 with Moraga, Arenda, and Lafayette to be used for highway and arterial improvements and transit, pedestrian, and bicycle improvement projects. These fees are also modified annually based upon the change in the engineering new record construction cost increase for San Francisco, and based on the change from September 2023 through September 2024, these fees have decreased by 0.75%. And so again, staff is recommending that council open a public hearing and adopt a resolution updating the master fee schedule for the upcoming 2 fiscal years. And staff is available for questions.
Thank you. Questions from the town council? Carrie, go ahead.
Yeah, just a question on the removal of the deposit for park rentals. What's the logic behind it? What happens if there's, somebody has a rager at one of our picnic tables and destroys the site?
So I think that's in part, most of our picnic areas are established by fees based, there's a maximum capacity, and then that goes along with the adjustment for, or case by case, looking at the fees for groups of larger than 100. So that way, on those larger activities that might provide a more risk of larger damage versus just a, maybe birthday party in a picnic area, that's part of the justification for removal there. So we're looking at the larger groups where there is a kind of assumed to be more risk, and that there might be a deposit, refundable deposit associated.
Thank you.
Lisa?
You just asked and answered my question. Thank you.
Graham? Brian?
Yes, thank you. Some of the fees are based on hourly rates. Those are fully loaded, it appears.
Yes.
So, because nobody's paid that much.
No, those are based on both fully loaded staff costs plus administrative overhead.
Okay, and when we spoke the other day briefly about this, there was some that were missing, and there was a reference to they will be published in the guide. Something was going to be determined later.
So our user fees for classes and our recreation classes and camps, those are fees that, so our fee is that they're established in the 3 times a year in our recreation guide, And because a lot of those classes are provided by contracted
outside
providers,
people, right. So
we
you
have to
don't
set the
know.
fee based on what our actual cost is. And
Got
so
it.
this gives us the flexibility to accurately recover.
Okay, I
our
get it
costs.
now. Thank you.
I have at least one here. The technology fee,
Yes.
the new technology fee. Is there, what's the driver for this? I mean, is it, you know, I take it historically, it's sort of been assumed, built into the fees, and now we're breaking it out, and,
So we have, I'll say there's been, there are more requirements for things that cities and jurisdictions have to do related to permitting activities. And so being able to help offset our technology costs as it's another cost recovery source for the town. I know there are other jurisdictions within Contra Costa County that also charge a technology fee for it can be software, it can be actual equipment that our staff, our engineers, and our planners need to both better do their job and better serve the public. So,
and it's not to purchase computers that are used in classes or something like that?
no, it would be specifically related to the type of work and activity that those
Okay.
that the fee is charged on.
And, you know, maybe this question is a little bit broader than staff, but the LFFA fee, and I haven't looked at it for a couple of years, when I've looked at that amount of money, it seems to be really small, and Moraga's distribution seems to be pretty minuscule. Is that my impression, or is that true that it's really not generating a whole lot of?
I mean, it's based on actual development activity, which
Right.
for Moraga is on the on the low end. That fee was established through a nexus study, so there was a comprehensive study done to establish the basis for the fee in 2016 when the fee was established. So in order to update the fee, there would need to be another nexus study done, and that would need to be agreed upon by LFFA.
If I can also just add
Yeah.
a small piece from the LFFA committee. So there's a regional share, and then there's also a local share. So there's two separate budgets. For the regional share, that's where we got I think it was $20,000 for contribution for the La Miranda Spirit Van.
Yeah,
That was
that's
out
great.
of $30,000 remaining. So there's only now $10,000 remaining in our entirety, because we also used the bulk of what was there previously to pay for the smart signals, our share for that. So now, until we get significant more development, our regional share is essentially tapped out.
And when you say regional share, you're talking about Moraga.
Moraga's, there's the one that the LFFA committee is responsible for administering, and then there's another increment of it that goes directly to the town of Moraga.
Yes.
Right. Build houses. Okay. No, thank you very much. Any other questions? Are there any comments from the public? I'm seeing none. So now we need to are we ready for any discussion on this, or are we ready for the resolution?
I'm ready to vote.
You're okay? Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll move.
Attachment A is the resolution.
I'll make a motion that we adopt a resolution updating the Town of Moraga's master fee schedule for fiscal year 2025-26 and fiscal year 2026-27.
Second.
And that is as presented, right?
As presented.
Yes. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. And it moves. It's approved. Okay. That takes us up to department reports. We have one department report tonight, and it's entitled Winter Holiday Display Policy. Scott, is there a staff report?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, your town manager will pinch hit for our Parks and Recreation Director, Mackenzie Brady, who's not here today. So this is a fairly straightforward item. This item has to do with the winter holiday display policy. We don't have one. The town has historically had a holiday tree at the Commons during the holiday season. And so there have been requests from time to time for different types of display items to be put out there. There's evolving case law and practices out there. So in order to move forward in responding to requests for other types of display items, staff is recommending that you adopt a formal winter holiday display policy. So when we're dealing with the holidays, whether it's Christmas or a menorah or whatever the type of thing you'll see out there in different communities, with the separation of church and state, towns and cities and counties are not allowed to take a position as if they're advocating for a particular belief or religion, that type of thing. So we have to be very careful here. So it's spelled out, the policy is spelled out here, how it would work. And some of the key features in a policy would be to designate display areas. And if you have legal questions, our town attorney here can explain to you how all that works. But if we have to have designated areas, and there are free speech areas that the public has the right to. And in the past here, the south side of the Moraga Commons Park, near where the traditional holiday tree is, as well as town-owned facilities such as the council chamber here, the library, or town hall, those are other areas where this could take place. The display requirements, they're articulated in here. There would be an application process, so if a group wanted to have something up, have to fill out an application and be responsible for cost incurred. We're not recommending an application fee because this is very infrequent. And there would be safety concerns and size concerns in terms of a display, whether it's a board or something, it'd be 6 feet by 6 feet by 6 feet. That's the recommendation. And then time limits. So we would recommend 30 days prior to a particular holiday and then 15 days after. This is for the winter holiday time frame. There would be a review process because we're in the government here. We have to have a procedure, right? So we're recommending that staff would coordinate this, in particular Parks and Rec staff. So there would be a process. You submit the application. There's a time frame. We would review it, and we'd get back to the applicant. Now, with respect to the religious symbols and disclaimers, if there's something that would be out there for, and it's okay that it involves a religion, but it can't be advocating or promoting it as such. For example, if a menorah were to be put out, it's just the symbol of that, and then it would have to have other types of symbols out there as well. Maybe, sorry? Secular symbols such as a Rudolph doll or something like that. I know this sounds a little odd, but it's the law, case law, and so on, and the attorney can weigh into that. So we have a very simple, straightforward policy that's in front of you. If you have any questions, we're available, and Denise can go into any legal pieces.
Thanks, Manager Murdoch, or sorry, Murner. So I just wanted to add that these are unattended winter holiday displays, not attended, and there's an important distinction. So these would be unattended winter displays, and the idea is that the designated areas would be near the holiday tree, so that the holiday tree has been determined by courts to be a secular symbol, and so that secular symbol would be next to potentially religious symbols if somebody applied and wanted to put those symbols in the winter holiday display designated areas.
Thank you.
Question?
Questions, yeah.
So,
We're going to go to questions. Brian.
okay, thank you. So the tree can count as the secular part of the whole.
Right, so courts have decided that a holiday tree, is more of a secular symbol than a religious symbol.
So you can add religious symbols that are just religious as long as they're near the secular tree.
Right. When courts have analyzed these issues that do come up, this is a very complex area of the law. We're dealing with First Amendment rights, the Establishment Clause within the First Amendment of the U.S. and California Constitution. The courts look at the context of the symbols. So if the secular if the religious symbols are intermixed with secular symbols, then the courts have decided that that is really not an endorsement or any support or
Endorsement.
I said endorsement. It's just not promoting the religion, that in its context, the governmental agency is celebrating something else, either diversity or inclusion or cultural spirit, that type of thing.
Is there a list of approved secular items?
Not a list per se. You have to sort of comb through the cases to see where courts have landed on different issues. And in analyzing these cases, context is very important. So the courts look at, is this a symbol that's by itself? Is it a symbol with other things around it? Is it a symbol? Where is the symbol located? So if it's in a prominent location versus an obscure location. So like I said, context is really important.
It sounds to me like it's only going to be checked if it's challenged.
Yes, that's true for lots of things, yes.
But, yeah, and as your staff has applications come in, I mean, we don't anticipate a whole lot, but we would look to precedent with other municipalities that have similar policies. We could take a chance to not have a policy, but the risks are far greater. So we're not inventing the wheel here, but it'd be common sense as applications came in.
Right. Other questions from the council?
I just had a brief question on duration. So there was a mention of 30 days in advance of the holiday event and then 15 days after.
Yeah.
Does that include, say, the duration of the observation of the holiday? So we could expect something to be in place beyond a 45-day time frame?
Will it be 30 and 15?
There are some holidays that aren't, say, just one day that span multiple days.
Right. So if it, like 8 days. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, you are correct. Yeah. So we have a Jewish population here, so that's an example. If there was a menorah with 8 candles, right? So that could be longer than 45 days. That's correct.
I have a couple questions. So, for example, down at the Commons, could we end up with multiple creches from different organizations? Is there a prohibit? Is that prohibited?
So courts have decided that a creche, a nativity scene, is a religious symbol.
Right.
And so it would, again, context, we would want to make sure that that religious symbol is placed in the context of the holiday tree, the town's holiday tree, and other secular symbols to ensure that we're not, by placing it in the location that it's designated for, that it's not being promoted or endorsed in any way as a religion that the town supports.
So I think I'm hearing that if a second organization also proposed a creche, you'd have to go through that evaluation as to...
Right. There's nothing in the policy that says you can't have duplicate religious symbols.
Okay.
And then if I may, Mr. Mayor, to answer Councilmember Thiel's question about timing, the policy is specific in terms of when the displays period starts, so they can be installed with the town approval between the Monday prior to November 15th and the Monday following January 15th annually. So there is a sort of beginning period and an end period to the winter holiday display.
So it caps it.
Yeah.
The question about if there's multiple requests for the same thing, we didn't think about that, so we would have to cross that bridge when we came to it. If you had a dozen applications that came in, it would probably be right in front of you again to amend the policy. So,
Yeah. Carrie, then I'll come back to myself.
And not to overcomplicate things, but just with the, thank you for the highlighting of the duration that we're specifying. So my questions are, have we checked to see whether or not those timeframes are sufficient for either Diwali or for Lunar New Year? Because both of those, Diwali occurs typically in November and Lunar New Year typically occurs in January. And given that we're setting a policy for a season, I'm just wondering whether or not we need flexibility to provide for other traditions, given that we do have a sizable Asian population and Indian population.
I think we would just cross the bridge when we came to it.
Got it.
That kind of addressed my other question, and that was non-winter holidays. And, you know, I don't want to open a can of worms, but is there an argument to just make this holiday display policy and, you know, move away from that winter requirement in those particular windows?
Certainly, it's within the council's discretion to make amendments to the policy, but the idea, the way the policy was drafted was that it would be displayed next to the town's holiday tree, and the town's holiday tree is only up for a certain period of time in the winter. So that's why the dates were picked when they were picked.
Sounds to me like let's go with this for now, and if we find a problem, then we can, you know, kind of revisit it. Does that make sense to folks?
Yeah.
Gary, you okay with that?
Yep.
And then one last added caveat here. There's this thing called the law of unintended consequences. So hopefully we won't be dealing with that. But if it does happen, we pointed it out.
That doesn't do any good.
So don't blame your town manager. That's.
Is there any input from the public? I see no hands raised, so that moves us on to making a motion and voting on this. If we're ready.
Comments?
Yeah. What?
Comments?
Sure.
If I may. I just wanted to thank town staff for pulling together this item. It's one that I personally have asked for a couple of years now, and I think the time is definitely ripe for it. So what initially sparked me to ask for this after I got elected was, so just some background on me. I grew up in the dominant faith tradition. And having done that, it's a little bit difficult, and you do have blinders on to see how your dominant faith tradition can really begin to dictate how specific periods of year are celebrated or recognized. And when only your tradition is recognized, when you can see things from the other side, you begin to see how even oppressive it can feel. When I was in my prior job, and folks were organizing in a government agency a holiday party, they asked for my opinion on it, which of course then I solicited the opinion of my mother-in-law, who was still alive at the time, and said, well, what do you think about this? It had a poster that was primarily red and green dominated, that had Santa on a sleigh and a Christmas tree. And when I showed it to her, she's like, well, this is Christmas. So irrespective of what a court may have found regarding a holiday tree, for the most part, it is a Christmas tree, Christ Mass. It is a tradition outside of, the Scandinavian celebration of the Yuletide, something which is exclusively associated with Christmas. So bringing the other side, those who are not part of the dominant faith tradition, and not feeling like they're being recognized by a municipal celebration, I just looked to my daughter's reaction once she was old enough to realize that the town only was recognizing Christmas. and was not recognizing Hanukkah. And she was in tears when she asked me why. And that's when I told her that Daddy was going to do something about that. And I'm not Jewish, but I can say that from the experience with my wife's family that many Jews are secular, and the celebration of Hanukkah, just like for people that grew up within the dominant faith tradition, Christmas has become somewhat secularized. Hanukkah has become somewhat secularized. The menorah or Hanukkah is something which is utilized during the winter celebrations as both a symbol of cultural identity primarily, and also as for some to recognize a faith tradition, similar to how when I was raised, I was reminded constantly by my parents that Christ was the reason for the season, and that's why we had a Christmas tree. So in my family, we have both a Christmas tree and a menorah, and I'm glad that now with this policy, assuming that it passes tonight, Moraga will have space for both as well. Thank you.
Question, will a fir, conifer tree satisfy the needs for a menorah?
I'm sorry?
Would that be acceptable for a menorah as a secular piece of that? You know, it's going to have to be, the menorah is going to have to be near.
A dreidel is also secular, so you could have a menorah with a dreidel right next to it.
The town will handle it.
There you go.
It to be negotiated.
You're making your town attorney a little nervous.
I had it here for a minute ago. Are we ready for a motion? I'm seeing shaking heads. Is anyone ready for that? Otherwise, I'll do it.
I'll do it.
Go ahead. Yeah, you do.
I move that we adopt a resolution approving a proposed Town of Moraga winter holiday display policy to establish guidelines for winter holiday displays at designated town properties.
Second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Thank you so much, everybody. That moves us on to council member requests for future agenda items. Are there any requests for future agenda items? I see no hands. And that brings us, and I can't wait, the town manager follow-up announcements.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I do want to acknowledge Mackenzie Brady again for the holiday display policy, for her work. She's not able to be here, day off, but she did a good job. Okay. Okay. So, announcements. I'm happy to share that the town received an award. The Government Finance Officers Association of Canada and the United States awarded the town with a certificate of achievement for excellence in financial reporting for the annual financial report documents that Katie Bruner and her team put together for fiscal year 23-24. So for Moraga, this has become routine, but we don't take it for granted. I think we're about 10 years or 12 years in a row, 12 years in a row receiving this. It's very important for us to retain our AAA credit rating by doing that. So what does that mean? It means that every year we do a snapshot of how did we actually spend the money that you had authorized at the beginning of the fiscal year, and we're showing that we remain balanced and in compliance with the budget that was adopted. So our books balance and our numbers are accurate. So that's good. So Katie, to you and your team, congratulations. We're proud of that. So that's the riveting news for those of us in local government land. Are you excited?
Well, you didn't give any credit to our audit and finance committee or the town.
Well, that goes without saying. That's implied. So for the audit and finance committee,
Gary.
the town council, and all the voters who voted for the right council members. All right? Is that okay?
Okay.
So then by way of follow-up, so we had some items on the agenda that we will follow up, as well as coming back with the new, or the second reading on the housing element amendments. We'll come back on the 25th. Well, before the 25th, though, Council, when with your GAD hat on, you'll have a GAD board meeting on June 18th.
Wednesday.
Sorry?
Next Wednesday.
Next Monday?
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Okay, yeah, next week. The next regular council meeting will be on June 15th. At that meeting, you'll have several items of interest.
25th.
Did I say the 15th? I'm getting tired. All right, sorry. June 25th will be your next regular meeting. You'll have several items, including the budget, for the biennial budget for the next 2 fiscal years, the operating budget and the capital improvement program budget. We will also have in front of you a recommended contract award, consultant award, to finally do the Parks Recreation Open Space Master Plan that you have been pushing your town manager to finally get to you. So you'll have that in front of you. You can decide yea or nay if you want to do that. I'm hopeful we'll have the legislative platform item in front of you with a recommendation to join with the consultant services that Lafayette and Orinda use. So those are some items of note that are coming back, as well as we'll have the Recycle Smart appointment on there. That one's important, as you talked about earlier, because in July, that board will be taking an action on going forward with the new contract. Okay, that's it by way of town manager follow-up. Mr. Mayor,
Thank you so much.
your vice mayor has his hand up.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Town Manager, can I ask you to also give an update on the impromptu construction that we texted about at Moraga Center and the big hole that got knocked into Ream Center? If you can give an update, just because I know the public has been questioning this on social media.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, first off, one of the things I've learned here in my tenure is we don't like to talk about holes in the road of any size or shape, right? So over in the Moraga Center, there was some private work done to fill potholes and so on. Did not need a permit as far as we know. I believe the county sent an inspector out there today to check. Since I didn't hear anything, I'm sure that it was kosher, and that was private property owners' right to go in there and fix that. We did hear from some business owners, and I think at least one council member heard from some of the folks out there. So we'll work with the property owner that if that happens again, they could hopefully share with their businesses there, so they're able to share that with the customers. But we don't have any authority over that as a town. The fire department was a little concerned because of the potential impacts on fire equipment accessibility if an emergency had taken place, but I don't have anything more to share on that than that. And if you're talking about the quote hole, you probably should use a better descriptor. But so the demolition work that has started at the Ream Shopping Center, where the previous produce sort of grocery store used to be, Goodwill and all of that, the demolition work has started there. And there's a lot of utilities and other work going on. That's for the new grocery outlet store that will go in there shortly. Probably take another year before everything is done. We're working on a lot of different components associated with that project. Then there'll be 2 restaurant pads that come in. So fingers crossed that we're in the early stages of the final, not finally, of the revitalization effort that has taken so many darn years to bring this to fruition. So hopefully that's a game changer. Thank you. You're welcome.
Can I augment that just very, very briefly? People have been asking, you know, in that demolition site, there's this cube that has not yet been demolished, and it's going to stay. It is the Comcast. It is a Comcast control center of some sort, and it's big.
Yeah, that's it's like a switching station, and not to share more than we should, but it's responsible for a lot of residents, not just Moraga, but for the region.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's made.
You may be asked about that. You know.
Well, since you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, since
Sorry,
you
okay.
raised that, that's one of the reasons why this project has taken so long, because the property owner was looking at relocating that, and then we had some challenges with Comcast / Xfinity. So that became a very interesting sticking point. I'm revealing way more than I should, but
Right.
everybody came to the table, they worked it out, and the project's going forward.
Thank you. Is there anything else? If not, I hereby announce adjournment. It is 6:30. Oh, damn it, 6:40.
Hey, it's family hour.